You're no shit. If y'all are trying to talk, if y'all are being like, Jacob, come save Bob. I know. I know. But I'm doing something new today. I'm excited, and I'm joined by Chad Kultgen, who is one of the hosts of the Necessary Conversation over on YouTube. Give it up for Chad Kultgen, y'all.
Thank you.
All right. So, Chad, tell me a little bit about the show, the Necessary Conversation. How did this come about?
Yeah.
How did it come about? And I have more questions probably than you have answers.
Probably. I'll give you the origin story. This is a podcast that I do with my parents and my sister. My sister,
Mary Lou
is my mom.
And
Bob is my dad. Haley's my sister. My sister and I are both like super liberal. I live in LA. She lives in actually a very conservative suburb of Dallas, but nonetheless, she's very liberal. And my parents are both like QAnon, MAGA, drinking the Kool-Aid every day.
Now she's a little more left than you, I would say, because I feel like your parents are like pretty far right, almost to the point of like they're eating babies in pizza parlors, and you seem to be like left of center, and your sister seems like she's like I feel like your sister would have been on the flotilla.
Yes, my sister is. I mean, almost like an anarchist, I would say. I lean more toward that direction as well. I wouldn't even call myself like left necessarily. I'm like, this whole thing needs to be redone. It's all fucked. You know, I don't consider myself a Democrat or Republican. None of that shit.
You can't. You don't want to be a Democrat. Like, I gotta say, I voted blue.
Same.
I'm 39.
Right.
How old are you?
29.
29. You're 20. Wait, I'm 39.
I'm 49.
Oh, I was like, no. I was like, it's been a rough 29 years.
Get it? How dare you? I'm getting older. That's all I'll say.
But like, I feel like, you know, back when I was voting, my first vote I ever cast was for John Kerry.
Okay.
My first vote was a losing vote.
Yeah.
And then I voted again for who's the one who created the internet? What's his name? He invented the internet.
Al Gore.
Al Gore.
Yeah. Okay.
Was it Gore Kerry or Kerry Gore? I can't remember.
It was Gore Kerry, I think. I can't remember either.
So my first vote was for John Kerry.
Yeah.
I wanted to 2004 maybe. And then I got to cast a winning vote for Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yep.
A losing vote for Hillary Clinton. A winning vote for Joe Biden. A losing vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I think I probably match exactly that. I've only ever voted for Democratic presidents. You know, whatever. I just go Democrat straight down the ticket pretty much every time.
But the Democrats have been kind of like pissing me off.
They're terrible.
Not kind of.
They're terrible.
There's no kind of. They have been pissing me off.
I mean, if you're losing against Donald Trump, something is fucking wrong. You know what I mean? Like at the core of what that party is, they don't understand, or they're kind of coming around to understanding how to use the internet. I truly believe whoever controls the internet controls everything in the world, not just politics, but
bitch, fucking the conservatives bought Twitter.
Yeah.
They bought TikTok.
Yes.
They own Instagram.
All of it.
They own Facebook.
Yeah.
Is there anything? Pinterest? Are we gonna move? Are we gonna move to Pinterest?
Pinterest is the savior of America. Please don't let that be real.
Like, do we bring MySpace back? I don't know what the plan is gonna be, because it's so. Anyway, so sorry. Back to the origin story of you and your family.
All right, so my parents and I weren't speaking, or my parents and my sister and I should say weren't speaking. My sister and I were speaking. My parents were speaking, but the generations were not speaking during Obama. It started getting really bad, maybe during his second term, I would say,
when he beat the Mormon.
Yes, Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney
with his binders of women.
It's kind of crazy to me that there was a Mormon who was a front runner.
Yeah.
I don't think that a Mormon could do that today.
I don't know, dude. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Taylor Frankie Paul's about to be the Bachelorette next season. I think the Mormons are taking over a lot right now.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I just.
And by the way, you would love to have that Mormon as your president right now over Donald Trump. You know, that's the crazy part to me.
Do you remember when there was a time where they were like, who is it? Kennedy can't be the president. He's a Catholic.
Yeah.
He's a Catholic.
Yeah. Now we got Trump.
God. Do you believe in the replacement of JD Vance's wife with
100%.
with
Erica Kirk? 100%.
With Erica Kirk?
It's happening before our eyes. 100%.
He was groping her.
100%. It's happening. We're watching it. We're watching them manipulate that guy's life to now have this new wife, and then he's going to run for president with her by his side.
They were necking.
Yeah.
They were necking in front of his Hindu Indian wife.
Yes.
And then he went on to another show. Was like, well, I just kind of wish she was a Christian.
Unbelievable. They're laying the groundwork for here's why we're going to get divorced. I think that's going to happen within a year.
I mean, when I saw that he had a wife who was Indian and that they were different religions, I was like, interesting.
Sure.
You know, apparently, I'm gonna raise this up here a little bit. Apparently, allegedly,
you need help?
No, there we go. 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 Apparently, allegedly, JD Vance was really liberal in college.
That's what they say.
Like he had you remember wasn't there some trans woman who was like we were friends, or a gay guy or someone I don't
know,
who like we were friends, and then he got all weird and conservative.
That I don't know, but I mean it's very clear to me that he was just like, whatever I have to do to make it to the top of the political heap, I will do, including compromise my own values, become a different person, now potentially divorce my wife and estrange my children so that I can go be with. I mean, look, this is just my own conjecture, but we all saw what happened at that turning point thing.
Yeah.
She had her hand in his hair. He had his hands on her waist. She was saying, nobody could ever replace my husband, but JD Vance comes close. I mean, she was saying that shit on camera.
Well, they say crazy stuff all the time. I mean, Trump has said on multiple. Last night I was watching some supercut of Trump talking about how bad he wants to fuck his daughter.
Yeah. I think that was on Howard Stern. He said an old interview where he was like, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd be dating her probably. You're like, who the fuck says that? Who would say some shit like this other than a guy who wants to fuck his daughter?
Well, Donald Trump can say anything he wants.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he said I could walk down Fifth Avenue?
Yeah, of course.
Shoot someone and I wouldn't lose a single vote.
Dude, that to me is like, he was already in the mix at that point. The thing that killed me, and this back to the origin story of the podcast, I remember I was visiting my parents for whatever reason when that Access Hollywood tape broke of him saying that he sexually assaults women and and Billy Bush and all that shit.
Oh, you want to hear a crazy story?
Please.
So when I was on RuPaul's Drag Race at the finale, me, a drag queen named Kim Chi, and a drag queen named Amy Smalls, we went to Access Hollywood, and we were told they were going to put a guy in drag, Billy Bush. We put Billy Bush in.
Oh my God, dude.
Put Billy Bush in full drag. Billy Bush in full drag. We had to be there at at fucking 4 o'clock in the morning to put Billy Bush in full drag.
That's unbelievable. It's just like
grabbed him by his pussy. I should have grabbed him by his pussy right there. By his tuck. I should have grabbed him by his fucking tuck and had my way with him.
A missed opportunity. Maybe you'll get it again.
This was obviously before it all broke because he got fired like immediately after.
Yeah. No, but I remember that was breaking and I was like, Mom, you're not really going to vote for this guy, are you? And she's like, that's just locker room talk. And I was like, it's over. He's going to win. No one gives a shit. If you're like just against Democrats, if you hate Obama enough, you're voting for this guy no matter what. And that kind of, like I said, kicked off this time in our family's relationship where we were not talking to our parents. They're starting to get older. Sometime in the middle of Biden's term, I was like, is this going to be how it ends? Are my parents going to die and my sister and I will not have talked to them for a decade? I didn't want that to be the case. And I do pretty strongly feel that like the divide in America, a big problem that we have is not being able to talk to the other side, really dehumanizing the other side, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I think that has to be solved or we're completely fucked for at least another generation. So I was like, let me see if my mom wants to do a podcast with me for an hour every week where we talk hardcore politics. She did. And then my dad got jealous because he thought my mom was not like the center of attention. He's the star in his own mind. So he came on and then my sister came on to kind of back me up. And we've been doing it every Sunday for about 3 years now.
I gotta say,
yeah,
Bob is a character.
Sure. Okay. That's one way to say it. Yeah.
Y'all, if you're not watching the Necessary Conversation, so I started just the clips kept getting put in my feed because I watch a lot of political content.
Yeah.
On TikTok. So you guys just kept getting blasted in my feed. And then I was like, I gotta go watch this whole podcast. You're my workout buddy.
No shit.
Thank you. Your family, you're my workout buddies.
A high honor.
Y'all give me that extra oomph to lift.
My
harder.
Dad enrages you. That's
to get that
I
extra
need
lifted.
these gains. Fuck that guy.
And So
That's insane.
Okay,
Oh, Jesus.
I want to ask some questions, and if I know these are your parents.
Yeah.
So I don't want to overstep it. If at any point you're like, whoa, these are my folks.
Okay.
Feel free to be like, not too much.
All right.
Okay.
Sure.
Like, so you're reading the comments.
Sometimes. I mean, I also am like, I've done a couple other podcasts in my day, and initially when you first start them, I feel like you get sucked down that trap where you're reading every comment, and the good ones just go over your head, and the bad ones fucking stick, and you're like, oh God, is this real? Should I change this? Should I do that? So I've kind of like stepped away from that. But yeah, I certainly see what people think about my parents.
Well, I feel like your mom does read the comments because she's often commenting about what people are saying about your parents, and it seems to really peeve her a lot what people are saying.
Yeah.
But so you've seen people asking your dad to draw a clock.
We asked him to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my mom. I'm like, I mean, obviously, my dad he retired maybe, it's got to be 2 years ago.
How old are your parents?
72 and 70.
Okay. They're too young for too young for Congress.
I know, God.
Give them 20 more years, and they'll be just right for the presidency.
Exactly.
In 20 years, they should run.
Yeah.
You ever see the memes online when it's like a really old person? They're like, get this guy in Congress.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the world we're living in. But yeah, my dad retired a couple years ago and kind of has had like a downward spiral of health for sure. 2 broken hips in the past 2 years. He's looking a little worse for the wear, and so we're all concerned about him also. And he can come and do the podcast as he pleases. A lot of times he'll leave early if he's like too tired or whatever. But that was a concern of me and my sister. And so I literally had my mom have him draw a clock, and she sent me the picture of it, and he fucking nailed it 100%. Like it's undeniable. So I was like, well, I guess that's not it.
Is he troll? Is your dad? Is he troll? Okay, I have to ask.
Yeah.
Is he trolling, or is he for real? Like, is this what he really thinks? Is this how he really feels? Does your dad does your dad really rejoice when Palestinian children are blown to pieces? Mm-hmm. Is he actually like getting his life at the detriment of? Yeah. Like, is that real?
I don't know. My sister and I talk about this off the show a lot, and I always go back to these moments in childhood. Like, I can remember there was some time when I had to go like get a Christmas present or something for a friend or whatever when I was like 10 years old. And I just remember pulling in the mall with him. It was me and him in the car, and we're watching all these people, the Christmas rush of people buying presents and shit. And he was like, I'd love to just get out of this car and take out as many of these fuckers as I could. And I remember even as a kid being like, what the fuck? Is he really going to do this someday? So I think he does take pleasure in a kind of like an adversarial mindset that everyone in the world is his enemy, and to see his enemy's demise brings him pleasure. And so whoever that perceived enemy is, Palestinians, trans people, whatever the boogeyman of the day is in the Republican Party, I think he does take pleasure in it. Now, all these things that he's saying, is he really going to wage a one-man war on the streets of suburban Oklahoma City against whatever he thinks is a Democrat? No, he can't walk. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't get out of his fucking chair. So I kind of take it all with a grain of salt, other than it's just his ideology. It's a weird identity he's created for himself that I don't think he'll ever escape.
Does he have an off-air soft personality?
No.
Where not even the camera's cut, and he's not even like, okay, have you ever seen your dad have to respond to a death in like the community, not in the family, but like in the community, like a teacher passed away, a local pastor passed away? Does he have sympathy for? Have you seen him have to deal with like?
I'll give you a good insight into him, I think. And as much as our podcast, by the way, is about politics, it's also about our family, which I think we have like some generational trauma type shit that we're trying to work, or at least me and my sister are trying to work through. And my parents are a fucking brick wall that like will never address this shit. In a recent episode, we brought up. I asked my sister if there's one thing she could change without raising. Okay,
I saw it. No, go ahead, bring it up.
I asked my sister if there's something she could change about her childhood.
Maybe I should play it for the people. Should I?
Yeah, that clip is probably somewhere on TikTok.
No, but yeah, talk about it. I'll find it.
We essentially had a conversation about certain abuses my sister and I suffered as children, and my parents wouldn't even admit that happened. So that's where we are with them. But in terms of what you were asking about, how does my dad react to things like this? I remember when his mom died, I was late 20s maybe. I went with him to her room in this assisted living facility to like clean her shit out. And it was the only time that I have seen him cry in my adult life. And he cried for about 2 seconds. I could see him breaking down. He saw some like, thing that was a decoration that he had in his room when he was a kid was in her room. And he saw it. He started crying. I hugged him. I said, it's going to be okay. And he was like, literally sucked it up and then was just like making jokes and shit with like people in this place.
How long ago is this?
It's got to be 15 to 20 years.
So in your 49 years of life,
yeah,
you had one time where you started to show an inkling of like sadness or emotion at someone's death.
Yeah, he cried also at her actual funeral, but that was it. And this, I don't know if it's like a boomer thing. My dad has had a hard life for a variety of reasons. He was adopted. His parents weren't the
Your
greatest.
dad was adopted?
Yeah, all this kind of shit. So there's a lot of.
Does he know? Did he ever meet his birth parents or anything?
No, and that is like kind of a complicated story as well. He tried to reach out to them, they weren't receptive. Blah 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 blah. And now he knows some of his half brothers and sisters. But there's a mountain of psychological issues and traumas that he's suffered that he will never deal with. He has buried them so fucking deep that that's like who he is now. He's just a locked door to keep that shit inside. And so that means nothing can come in either,
I mean, part of me feels like it would, like, if your father outlives Donald Trump,
okay,
I believe that
what a crazy way to start a sentence.
but hear me out.
I'm hearing you.
I feel like if your father outlives Trump, he's going to be destroyed.
Yeah, I think my mom,
as you say, his God. Like, this is you always troll and say your God.
It is their God. They have a fucking shrine to him. They own all of his they got the shoes, they got the cologne, they got the Bible. They bought a thing called the Trumpy Bear. It's like a little teddy bear that has a Donald Trump hairdo. This shit is always like within reaching distance of them. They literally have a shrine to this guy in their home. What else can it be but a God? This is I see.
Do they refer to it as a shrine?
No, they don't. That's their collection.
It's their collection. But to be fair, you've added to you all have bought them some stuff have bought them some Trumpy stuff to add to the shrine.
And I get shit. I don't have friends in any capacity that are MAGA or anything other than like hardcore liberal. And I get shit from them sometimes. And they're like, I can't believe you fucking bought your dad a Trump Bible for his birthday. And I'm like, what does that?
Well, what else do you get the guy who only loves Trump stuff?
Exactly. And to me, like the bottom line is, at least what we're trying to do in that show, but I think this is true of me, like really, my relationship with my parents, as fractured and fucked up as it may be, is still way more important to me than my relationship with Donald Trump. And so like buying my dad a Trump Bible isn't like, I'm not supporting Trump. I'm trying to show my dad that like I'm willing to cross that kind of political divide to give him a gift that I know he will like, even though it's completely against every fiber of my being.
Can I play a clip from your show
for
please. Our viewers? So this is a clip that I saw recently that honestly gagged me down. I was gagged. Like, so here's the thing. I feel like a lot of times when you're, pardon me, I'm just trying to share the screen here. I feel like a lot of times when you're trying to address issues that have happened in your life with your parents, they get really defensive. Like really don't want you insinuating that they were not anything less than absolutely stellar parents.
My dad literally will be like, I've never made a mistake as a parent. He will say that exact phrase. He made no mistakes. And I tried in this last episode, I wrote this letter basically to my parents that I meant for my dad to read it on camera, because I was like, will this get any emotional reaction out of him? He of course left early. So my mom read it, and it was essentially saying, listen, you guys did do some shit to us when we were kids. I want to acknowledge that, and also say you guys had hard childhoods and you didn't have good models for how to be parents, and you did the best you could. And me and Haley still turned out great, and you should be proud of that. I love you. Thank you for the good memories. But I just want to acknowledge you weren't perfect. Nobody is. And my mom got pissed at me after the fact, after we shot the show. She was kind of nice on the show about it. She was like, how dare you say all that shit? I'm just like, what?
Well, do they believe that you and Haley turned out great?
I don't know. And that's a question that we've talked about on the show too. I'm not sure. I can never really get to the root of it, because I mean, objectively, we both, whatever. She has a great family and a great business, and like everything's fine in her life. I don't have a family, but that's by choice. And I am doing what I love to do professionally and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, on certain objective metrics, I think, we turned out pretty good despite all that stuff, but we don't worship Trump.
Let's watch this clip of your family having a conversation about the way that you were raised.
All right.
What would you change in how you were raised if you could?
I would have appreciated growing up without verbal abuse and without getting hit with a belt.
Well, I want to say the way that she said that was really kind,
Yeah, I agree.
in my opinion.
I agree.
All right, let's keep watching.
Me too. That was gonna be.
Also, your dad hates when you laugh.
I know.
I'm not going to say your dad doesn't want you to have joy, but he definitely does not want you laughing. He hates your, I don't know if he hates your laughter, but he really gets peeved when you laugh.
I think he thinks I'm laughing at him, and sometimes I am. I mean, to be honest, because it's like, when this dude who has raised you, your father, looks at you and says, I hope you die in the California wildfires, what can you fucking do but laugh at that? You know?
All right, let's keep watching.
Sorry.
My answer as well.
So those two things, I think.
Your mom was pissed.
Yeah.
Can we go back to that? Your mom,
please?
So those two things, I think I would have really
Let's just catch this one moment.
maybe not wanted growing up.
Okay.
Okay.
So now you're going to tell everybody we beat you. Yeah, that's nice.
Now, I want to be fair. Okay, so I want to be clear. She did not say you beat us. She said no verbal abuse, and I wouldn't like getting spanked.
Yeah.
So of course, then your mom escalates it. So I mean, so this is a pretty like run of the mill straw man fallacy, right?
Absolutely.
So your mom can say, "Oh, so we beat you."
Yeah, exactly.
You
never had to go to the hospital.
It's easy to destroy the argument. We didn't beat you.
Yeah.
When she's like, "Well, that's not what I said. I said there was verbal abuse and you spanked us."
Totally.
And she's like, so we pummeled you into the ground and beat you to a bloody pulp, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And she's like,
but also like there's misremembering on my mom's part. There like certainly there was the belt and verbal abuse, a lot of psychological abuse at my dad's hand in service of what he thought was like coaching us in sports, all that kind of shit. But there are also things, that we didn't bring up on the show that I think would qualify as a beating.
So let's keep watching.
Yeah.
Well, did you or didn't you?
You got disciplined.
Okay.
That's what we did. Yes.
And I'm saying, in raising us, those are the two things that come to mind.
If I could right now, I'd come through the screen and beat your butt.
Like there was some
So
verbal abuse.
did she see the irony?
You have to admit.
Did she see the irony in that?
No.
Or was
No.
that a bit? Was that her being funny?
She is innately a funny person. So is my dad. That's part of like what makes this wild to me is like they both are like down with, or my mom's not as much, but my dad is certainly like hardcore down with genocide, down with what ICE is doing, down with all this shit. But they're also super funny. And Trump is like that too, I feel like. Every once in a while, Trump will do something that you're like, fuck, that's really funny.
Yeah, your mom was like, your mom was like defending that y'all never were beat.
Yeah.
And she's like, if I could, I would come through the screen and beat the shit out of you. I would beat you to a bloody pulp if I could. To prove I have never, I've never hit you.
Exactly. But I don't think she's aware of it like at an overt level that she is ironic and that there is like humor in even saying that. I don't think she knows that. She just is funny.
All right, let's go back to the video.
That there still is. It's still ongoing.
As evidenced by this entire episode.
And Dad used to beat the shit out of us with a belt.
He did.
Okay, now she dropped a real tomahawk missile there.
Yeah, beat the shit out of
your sister goes in. I feel like you are a little bit more level with them. Your sister knows Haley, right?
Yeah.
Haley knows that if she wants, it seems like, and this is from as a fan watching, she knows that if she really wants to get your parents' goat, she has to say, you're not a Christian.
Yeah.
That if you're not watching, that is Mary Lou specifically really does not like being told that she is not a real Christian.
Absolutely. And they're not, by the way, like they don't go to church or anything. And I'm not saying you have to go to church to be a Christian. Obviously, everybody has their own relationship with spirituality and gods and all these things. But my parents like are not. That it's this weird, very recent thing that has happened with them where they're like, no, we're Christian and we're Catholic and all this shit. And they were, I guess, in their younger lives, but like we never really went to church beyond when I was maybe like 7 or 8. It kind of stopped. It was never a part of our lives.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of parents try to get their kids to go to church to like instill a thing in the beginning, and then they're like, oh, God, I've been going to church for years and I never went to church for these kids. I actually hate going to church. I got to stop this church shit. And then that's when so you guys didn't go to church in like middle school, high school much?
No, it was all grade school, and we went to Sunday school and stuff. Like I said, till I was about 7 or 8. Then we moved to a different city, and it just never. We just didn't do it anymore, you know. And it's been that way until now. And now they're suddenly like super Christian because I guess they think Trump is, or I have no fucking idea. It's part of that like MAGA Republican identity that Christianity has to be a part of it. And I think that has to do with Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk and all of the kind of people who are like under the tier of actual government officials in the MAGA party, all of the people basically on the internet. Christianity is like a huge piece of that identity. And so they have to at least proclaim it, if not actually live it.
Or at least the Christian cosplay.
Yeah, exactly.
The Christian cosplay, you don't have to really just be, but as long as you're like cosplaying, like, yeah. All right, let's
100%.
We're going to make it through this video.
Okay.
Not beat the shit out of you. So quit telling people we beat you.
All right. Moving on.
No, you want to get down in the nitty gritty. Financially, did you suffer in any way at all?
So this seemed to trigger a lot of your audience.
Yeah.
Specifically when she was like, no, you want to get into it, let's get into it. And she was like, well, she basically is bringing up that she paid for your college and then you all lived a comfortable life.
Yeah, we were like middle to upper middle class.
What did your parents do?
My mom was a teacher for many years. She was
your mom's a teacher?
Yeah, I know.
What did she teach?
Phys ed, and she was also a tennis coach at a high school when we were little kids.
Oh, Mary Lou's an athlete.
She was a D1 college tennis star, basically, and then got pregnant with me, and I ruined her life.
Oh my God, your mom could have been Anna Kournikova.
Yeah, maybe. Sports was like huge for my family, or my parents, I should say. Kind of like it was how my dad kind of pulled himself up by the bootstraps, and it gave his life meaning and blah, blah, blah. So it was hammered into me and my sister. We had to play every sport, be the best at it, blah, blah, blah. But what my dad, I think, strangely didn't realize is that we both needed to like actually enjoy the sport to play it into adulthood or take it seriously. And because of his training techniques.
Well, your mom could have played against Billie Jean King. I just looked at Billie Jean King's 81.
Yeah.
Your mom could have been contemporaries with Billie Jean King.
That would have been incredible.
You ruined it.
I did. It was all my fault and by choice. I did it by choice. I said, birth me now. No, I don't know. What were we talking about? Sorry.
No, sorry. Look, about how your I derail stuff. To be honest, I'm not a great interviewer.
Sure. No, you're fantastic.
I'm more of a conversationalist than an interviewer, and I derail things.
That's
fine. About your mom talking about how I paid for y'all to have stuff.
Oh,
That's not how your mom sounds. She does not sound like
that's
that.
more my dad.
Yeah.
Growing up or through your adult married life?
I knew you were going to get mad, so I gave you like I said, it wasn't all bad. The question was, what would I change? Those are the things.
Go find
Does Haley work out? She looks fit.
Yes, she does. She works out. She does martial arts. She's hiking all the time. She's those right wingers in her town better leave her the fuck alone, for she beats them the fuck up. Yeah,
and I think she'd do it.
I think so too. I mean, as adversarial as my parents are, I think they did bestow that, or they tried to bestow it upon me and my sister. I think it took hold in my sister, and I think she would maybe not welcome somebody coming into her. She owns a bakery in Dallas. Maybe not welcome somebody coming in there to like do her harm. But if they did, I think she would flip the switch pretty quickly.
Was your mom wearing your sister's baking hat?
Yeah.
That was
Hive Bakery.
Does Haley, you don't have to answer this question. Does Haley, because we're live, so does Haley carry?
No, she doesn't carry. She has some guns, but she doesn't carry.
I feel like it seems like there's a lot of people in Haley's town that are like trying to fuck with her because of the podcast.
Not because of the podcast. I mean, this happened, well, partially, I guess the podcast is probably like more fuel to the fire, but she does these incredible things. They're like sculptures out of cake and stuff. And she also does like hyper political stuff. So she'll make, she did like, for example, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris cookies when they were running, and donated a portion of those. If I remember right, I could be wrong on this, but I believe she donated some of that money.
Can we get our fact checker
to that campaign? But she does stuff like that all the time for Planned Parenthood, abortion, these types of things. She'll make some kind of like cookie and then donate a lot of the money she makes to whatever that cause is. And so when she was making those Walz Harris cookies, she was getting death threats. And she's gotten that type of stuff before. And that, I think those death threats got her in like international news. I saw like in The Guardian and shit, they were writing a story about her. So all of that is happening outside the podcast. She's already kind of like pretty politically active through the art she makes in her bakery. And I think the podcast is just like, It's shown
No,
few more
no,
people
no pun
that
intended.
exists.
The icing on the cake.
Exactly.
All this because of her activism through calories. This is crazy.
Exactly.
So
it's wild.
Have your parents become? Has the podcast affected any of your relationships within your communities or within your family at large? Do you have like uncles and aunts and cousins and stuff?
I mean, that's like a kind of a complicated, weird thing too. My parents are like, again, extremely adversarial. So if they don't have an enemy, they will find one. There always has to be somebody they're pissed at. And at various times in their lives, it was their siblings who they now no longer speak to. So our aunts, uncles, whatever. I mean, I guess 2 aunts are still with us. Me and my sister communicate with one of them. Probably if my parents knew that, they'd probably be pissed. But yeah, they don't talk to them. And all of their parents are now deceased.
You know, I lost my mom last year.
Mm-hmm.
No, not last year, the year before. Oh my God, I lost my mom on Mother's Day, 2 Mother's Days ago. And me and my mom actually got along. We were really great friends. We had some slightly different views about being queer, except the fact that my mother is actually my mother is gay herself. So it wasn't anything too crazy. But my mother she was kind of ex-gay. And we would have conversations about like, why does everything have to be about being gay? And I'm like, everything's not about being gay, but being gay does affect everything in my life because I'm so out and I'm so public facing with it. And I gotta say, like right before my mom passed away, we had a family therapy session, and we just kind of like cleared everything up. And she acknowledged that she heard me, and she's like, I hear what you're saying, and I love you above all of this. And we were arguing not about the gay stuff. We were arguing about her health because my mother would not. I think what it is, honestly, my mom knew she was dying before I knew she was dying, but she hadn't accepted it yet. She hadn't talked about it yet with anyone. And she was just getting herself together to die, but she didn't want to talk about dying.
Yeah.
So I think she was preparing to cross over. And we just kind of cleared everything up. And I got to be honest, it felt really good. Like we just cleared the air on everything. And that was the last time I truly spoke to my mom while my mom died pretty young. She was 61 years old. So she was truly coherent. And then maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks after that, she became so sick that she like was not in her right state of mind.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, not unwell enough to like not communicate, but just dying fucks you up, obviously.
Yeah.
It's your ultimate undoing, obviously. But I gotta say, like, it felt really good to be able to have that with her. And are you looking to have that? I know you guys have talked about family therapy. Have any therapists reached out who are willing to go on camera?
A couple of them to see if maybe that could be something that we do. But I also am just like, well, my dad he has said on camera it would be fine to bring a therapist onto the show. When that happens, is that gonna hold up? I don't know. You know, we'll see what his actual reaction is. But yeah, I am looking to do that. But I would also say, like, I think both my sister and I would agree on this. We've both kind of done the individual work. You know what I mean? So that it's like at least one half of that, if anything, can be repaired, or like you're saying, even have that conversation where you just lay all the cards out and you say, I love you in spite of all these things or whatever. We acknowledge that this shit happened in our family and we're going to move on to whatever the final phase of our life is. Even without them acknowledging it, like I already kind of have, you know what I mean? So it's like, I would love for them to be a part of that conversation that has only happened in my mind at this point. But like, it's not necessary ultimately, I think, for myself.
People online are saying that Mary Lou is crossing over.
Yeah.
That's what people online are saying.
For sure.
To be fair, I am a recent watcher. I've probably watched for the past like maybe 4 months.
Okay.
So I have not been part of the necessary conversation community I wasn't there when it was just you and her. But I've noticed, and people online seem to notice, that when Bob's not there, Mary is more malleable.
For sure. My mom, like at her core, my mom is just kind of like a sweet old lady who likes butterflies and horses. Like literally that's it. Introduce into that mix my dad, who she has been married to for since they met when they were 15 or 16, high school sweethearts. He's been the only influence in her life. And like I said, he's got a lot of fucking issues from his own childhood that will never be resolved, never even be addressed, never be acknowledged. all of that.
And he's a vet too, so he's got that trauma.
Yeah, but he was like not in combat.
Drag him.
For whatever it's worth to anyone out there. Yes, he was in the Air Force during Vietnam, but he was stationed at an Air Force base in Spokane, Washington, and he fueled planes.
Have you brought that up to him? Does he feel offended when you bring that up, or?
No, I mean, because that's the truth. He doesn't get too offended about that. But I think my mom, without my dad in the picture, will kind of revert back to her nascent stage of just being this like old lady who doesn't really give a shit about politics. I don't think she truly cares about this stuff. Not in the way my dad does, but I think he's been able to like push it on her for so long that it's become a part of her, at least current identity. And so I think yes, once he is no longer with us, I think we can reclaim her. And she's showing signs of it already. There's only so many ICE videos she can watch before she's like, this is fucked up. We're getting her there.
The hard thing to watch is when your mom is engaging in cognitive dissonance to the point where you'll present a bunch of facts to her, and then you'll be like, all right, now that you have all this, you do kind of set traps for your mom. I mean, you can acknowledge that, right?
I mean, I don't know that they're traps per se. I get DMs all the time from people that are like, you should tell them all these fucking things that Biden said, but it's really Trump quotes and just, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to trick them because I think that's actually very counterproductive.
But you've played some tricks on her before, like with the Bible thing, when you were like, this quote, I can't remember what it was. You were like,
yeah.
That was kind of a trick.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a trick, but I wasn't telling her that Biden said this or Trump said this. I said, I'm just going to read you a quote. Tell me if you agree with it. And it was a quote from the Bible about accepting the foreigner or something like that.
When a foreigner in your land, treat them as your own.
Yeah, exactly. And she was like, well, I guess I agree with that. So she avoided
once she agrees with that, and then you can get her to say, yes, I agree with that. It's in the Bible. I agree with it. And then when you go, but that's not what Trump is doing. She's like, no, but I agree with Trump.
Exactly.
And you're like, but Trump's not agreeing with that. And you're like, I agree with both of them. And it's like, but mom, they're literally opposite things. You can't possibly agree. But you have gotten your mom to say on camera a few times that she disagrees with Trump. Yeah.
And I think that's part of it is getting them to my kind of real goals when I sit down and say, okay, here's the topics we're going to discuss this week. And how can I use this to maybe pull my mom back in a little bit? It's always, I'm trying to remind them of who they were before Trump and before politics kind of became the primary component of their identities. And then I'm also trying to get my mom at least to acknowledge it is okay to disagree with this man, with the policies of his administration. And you can still be MAGA, you can still be a Trump supporter, but you can disagree with him on one thing. And I think that to me is that's the crack in the dam. If I can get her to accept I disagree with this person, then it's I think hopefully slippery slope to disagreeing with everything they do, and we get our mom back.
So are you dividing and conquering? Because I've noticed that now you and your mom have a separate show where you show each other videos. Are you trying to divide and conquer your parents? You can be honest. I don't think they're watching this. You can tell me.
My mom will see this for sure.
You think Mary Lou's gonna watch? Hey, listen, Mary Lou, I want you to know that I think that I honestly think that you're going to come over to our side. I don't know when it's going to happen, but Mary Lou, I predicted this with I did a only child with a guy named Christian Walker years ago. Christian Walker is Herschel Walker's son. And I told him, I said, you're going to become anti-MAGA. He was like, no, he's a black gay Republican, or was. I don't know what he identifies today, but he no longer makes MAGA content, and I think that he's just now, I don't know, he's probably still grifting, but just doing it some other way, because it came out that Herschel Walker cheated on his mom, and then he did this whole thing about deadbeat dads, and Herschel Walker was running for some seat in Georgia. Yeah, and then I remember that. And then he was part of the undoing of his father's campaign.
Oh shit! I don't think I knew that. That's wild.
It was crazy. But I was like, you're gonna become anti-MAGA. And he was like, never. Cut to. So all I'm saying is, listen, Mary Lou, I believe at some point you are going to leave the MAGA cult.
I hope so.
And honestly, do you know the best way I think you can actually get her to do it? In my opinion, I think if she actually starts going to church for real and has a pastor who actually preaches the real Bible, like that pastor who stood up to Donald Trump and told him that he needs to be taking care of these children in Palestine. then maybe Mary Lou will.
That's interesting. I mean, to your original question, I'm not trying to divide and conquer them. My dad is like, he just won't participate. He always has these ideas that he is kind of like above whatever the thing is, and he needs to exert control either through willful abandonment of whatever the thing is, or by kind of like lording over it. There was a moment, this is maybe 15 years ago. Aside from this podcast, I write books and movies and TV shows. I had one of my books being made into a movie. They were shooting it in Austin. My parents at the time lived in Houston. I was there on set for a couple of weeks.
Is the movie out now?
Yeah, it was called Men, Women, and Children.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Jason Reitman movie with like Adam Sandler's in it and
Jennifer Garner and shit. Every time I learn something new about you, it's like,
I've done a lot of things in service of my art. But I told my parents they're shooting this movie. My mom has only ever wanted to be in a movie, so I got her to be an extra in the movie that day in this big mall scene. But they came to the set and they walk in, and my mom was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy. It's like a big fucking movie shooting in a mall, you know?" And my dad walked up to me and he goes, "I got to make a fucking phone call. Business don't stop for this bullshit." So he was like clearly threatened by the fact that his kid, you know, had created something that had turned into this big thing and a movie production and whatever.
How old are you at the time?
He's 30, mid-30s, 33, 34, maybe something like that. He came in and he did this thing where he had to like lord himself over, this whole thing is bullshit. Fuck you. My business is real. This is not. And it was like, I don't even know if he had to make a phone call. That's like how he greeted me. So he's always very threatened when like his position as being the person in control of whatever the dynamic is, whenever that's in question, he is threatened. And as you see on the podcast, time and time again, he will just leave the podcast.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like your dad doesn't want to do the podcast, but he doesn't want to leave the room.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are times where he's like obviously falling asleep.
Yes, that too.
But there are other times your dad is like, he's a wide awake.
Yeah.
His cognitive skills are there.
Yep.
And he just doesn't want to engage because he's like, this is the same bullshit. Yeah. And you're like, and is it part of his like, is he a prisoner there? Are you guys like, do you guys have like a deal with some podcast company where you like have to release an episode every week?
I love podcasting. I think for like, of all the different weird art things I've done in my life, street art, writing TV, movies, video games, books.
Oh, you're vandalizing of the flag, which you should be in jail for, by the way.
I used to do this series of street art things that said none of this is real all around LA. And for a minute, I was doing this series that was American flags, where I had either spray painted that onto them or actually like stitched lettering onto them, and I would hang them up, and people get pissed.
Did your dad really think you should go to jail for that? Like for real?
I'm sure, yeah. Yeah.
And he stand behind you and clap, he said.
Yep. I think that's real. I do believe because it's in his mind, he's in control of the situation. If you go to jail for this thing that I said you should go to jail for, I'm right, you're wrong, fuck you, I win. But no, he is not held prisoner in any capacity. No one on the podcast is. It's always at will. If you want to do this with me on Sunday, here it is. Here's
so you guys don't have like some deal with a company where you have to be releasing these podcasts on this thing.
What I was gonna say was like, I've done a bunch of other podcasts and I really just like the art of it and like figuring out, what other little episode could we do? Is there some other new thing we could put in? I think like creating a podcast or a show, whatever you want to call it on YouTube, I just love doing it. And so I'm always looking for ways to like tinker with it. And should me and my mom do a solo episode this week or whatever? We have made, at this point, we're making a little bit of money because I took over the social media for my mom like 6 or 7 months ago. And I was like, let me just fucking throw some elbow grease into this and do what I know needs to be done.
No shade, but
yeah,
when y'all are divvying up the work flow, why
divvying up the work?
No, I mean, it seems like you do. It seems like you're doing the bulk of the work.
I do it all. That's the divvying up.
But why did y'all give Mary Lou social media? Why would y'all give a 70? I'm just not trying to be funny. Mary Lou, I bet when it comes to PE, I bet if it was like physical education but when y'all are like, Mary Lou, why would y'all make Mary Lou in charge of social media?
This was all me. When we first started this podcast, it was audio only. And I told my mom, because she posts like compulsively horse pictures and butterfly pictures and shit on her Instagram account. Thousands. I think she has like 25,000 posts. I'm not shitting you. So I was like, fuck it. Maybe she'll do something weird with it. And she obviously posts a lot. That's good. So here, you do all the social media. I'm just going to record this, edit it, and put it out. And that's all I'll do. And we did that for like 2.5 years. and it wasn't really going anywhere. We had a very small audience that was kind of based on people from my other podcasts who had come over from it. And I was just like, fuck it, let me do this now. And I took control of it, like I said, about 6 or 7 months ago. And immediately we were getting, a lot more attention from that. So I just thought she would have fun with it initially, and it might be funny. Then it was just nothing,
Is Haley doing it? When the cameras are down, when everyone clicks out of the stream,
yeah.
What is anyone else doing any work besides you?
No.
And I mean, but you love the game. You do it for the love of the game.
I do love the game, but I also there is something like strangely cathartic to me that I did not anticipate in rewatching the episodes and cutting the clips out and getting to see because when I'm in the show shooting, I'm also looking at the topics and whatever you're like what you're doing right now. Yeah. You're kind of like one piece of your brain is just in the production of it. But going back and getting to rewatch it, I get to see the little expressions of my mom or my dad and see oh, they did hear what we what we said there. They are reacting to it. I find that to be kind of a fun activity. Get a little high and rewatch a podcast that I do with my parents. And cut it for clips,
Well, we have to get out of here soon.
Okay.
But I mean, I got to tell y'all, if you're not watching The Necessary Conversation, you should check it out. It's a really interesting podcast. It is probably representative of a lot. I mean, I come from a pretty liberal family, so I don't have this experience at home. But I have a lot of friends, a lot of people in my life are I'm from Georgia, but I'm from Atlanta. But I have friends who are from other places who have these divided homes. And I'm sure a lot of people reach out to you and say that they feel probably seen by the content that you're making, and they're probably seeming like they probably feel some sort of relief from the progress that you are making with Mary Lou.
Yeah, I would say the DMs are of two types. One is that I have somebody in my life that is just your parents, thank you so much for doing this. It's at least shedding light on this type of relationship, if not, actively giving me ways to potentially address certain issues with them that I didn't have in my toolkit before. There's that, and then there's you should fucking die. You're part of the problem. You're giving these Nazis a platform. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah, so are you platforming bigots?
I don't think so. I mean,
you call them bigots.
Yeah, but am I platforming them? To me, even the idea of platforming to me is a weird one, because it's these ideas exist. These people have them. These people are voting. These people, my parents, I'm saying, are kind of why we're in this situation. That they've been brainwashed, that all the powers that be, from the American political system to all of these giant media companies who make money off of keeping you in a perpetual cycle of fear and anger. It's all designed to that end. But they do have these ideas. And I think to ignore that or to pretend they don't exist or say these ideas should not be expressed on YouTube, I think gets you into a dangerous territory. To me, it's always better to expose this shit and be these are average MAGA voters. And it's my sister and I are fighting against them. We're not promoting these ideas. I just kind of I guess disagree with the idea at its base that you shouldn't, in quotes, platform things. And I also don't think that's what we're doing.
Honestly. I mean, I will say you do hold their feet to the fire. Their feet are cooked right now. Especially Mary Lou. I feel like sometimes y'all are all right, with your father, you're it's from the outside, it seems like you all feel like your father is too far gone, and your mother's just close enough to she's still tethered to reality.
I think my dad, for what it's worth, you talked about how your mom was kind of getting things in order in time for the mortal coil to be ended. I think my dad maybe is doing something similar, but to the opposite end, where your mom was let's have this conversation and go to therapy and work our shit out and end on a note of love and blah blah blah. My dad, I think, is doing the exact opposite. He's closing up even fucking tighter. That's he'll never have that fucking conversation. He's going to go out in his mind on top, having controlled everything, including our perception of him and his interactions with us, which is sad to me,
Can you tell people where they can find The Necessary Conversation, how they can support you, any other items that you have going on, where they can support Chad and all of his works, and specifically follow along with your family in this really what's a vulnerable dynamic that I feel you are sharing. You can look at the camera.
The Necessary Conversation is on YouTube under that name.
Christ, wait, I'm having a stroke. Y'all, this is
You're just talk right to that camera. Everything just screen goes black. Fuck it, it's over.
This is my first time doing this, so fuck you all at home for judging me. I'm not even looking at my camera. There it is. Fuck you guys for judging me. I'm trying my fucking best. Kane, the camera guy, was like, I should do it. I was like, no.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna do it. And I'm over here. I gotta say, there's been a big chunk where I was eating.
Yeah.
But somehow in here, I started panicking. It's like in League when you hit the wrong key.
Of
Or
course.
you know in League when your fingers have shifted just to the right, and instead of hitting Q, you're hitting W, and then you start panicking.
Absolutely.
All right. So again, straight to camera.
Okay.
Where can we support you?
All right, and here we go. YouTube is The Necessary Conversation, and on all social media platforms, it's either The Necessary Conversation or The Necessary Conversation Pod. That's it.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. As you know, I'm Bob the Drag Queen. This has been Only Child. I don't have a schedule for release on these things, but I enjoy making them, and I put them out when I feel like it. When I feel like I'm giving, I give, and when I don't, I don't. So take that with you will. All right. Bye everyone. Thanks for watching, everyone.